Online marketplace OLX Kenya has entered monetization stage, having operated in the country for 4 years without charging users for classified advertisement. I spoke to the country director on what this means for the company going forward. OLX Kenya has taken a step that I think many people have been waiting for, which is charging the users of the platform, people who place their advertisements on your platform. Why has it taken a bit of a time to go for that kind of a decision for you?
Yeah, well, I think in a typical marketplace or classified business, the one important thing first is to build the audiences who trade on the platform. So therefore growth for the audiences comes first before thinking about the money side. And so I think because a lot of business models are predicated on revenue on day one, I think many people have found it a very interesting take that we keep revenue dry while saying we want to keep growing our users. But that has happened in many, many industries on the internet. And then that is a common fit. And for the last 4 years, our concentration has been to just try and make the experience of the user better.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that liquidity, customer buyers, worth of transactions. Over the last 4 years, what have you been building? What do you have at the moment?
Yeah, I think if you look at the liquidity of our platform now, we can say that at least over 25% of the people who are selling things will be able to sell in their first 7 days, which is quite remarkable. Now, that also comes with pretty good marketing to make sure that the brand is known by people, becomes a household name, which then drives them to go and either sell or buy. So we would say comfortably that we are the largest marketplace for both used and some new items. So we see two types of users on our platform. The one is a consumer who is sitting at home wanting to sell their used television set. And another one is a small businessman in River Road, Nairobi, who wants to have a channel to be able to sell say mobile phones. So both of those users are served pretty well by our platform.
Let's talk about how you're going to implement this. I'm seeing a fee ranging from 999 Kenya shillings to about 5,499. How are you going to implement this? Because Kenyans love free things. I think that's something that is out there already. How are you going to make people pay, or how are people going to keep that willingness to pay for this so that they can use the platform?
Good question. And first, actually, what we see now, we've been in this for the last I think 5 weeks, 6 weeks now, the monetization journey. And what we've seen is just tremendous growth. I think we're growing the revenue at 5% every week, which means that people are willing to pay because they're getting results. Mm-hmm. So if you look at the way the pricing is structured, is actually structured based on a number of factors. One of them being the liquidity of those items on our platform, mm-hmm. the probability of that seller getting results after posting their ad or paying for it. And the other thing is also considering the gross merchandise value of the item. So what you'll see is that when it comes to, for example, smaller items like books, we're charging about 200 shillings for 7 days. That's significantly low if you consider it or you compare it with what newspapers charge, for example. For a platform that receives about 250,000 people every day, comparing it with a typical newspaper that circulates maybe 60,000 newspapers per day, then you see that that is quite a huge amount of value for a bookseller or somebody who is selling their old DVD.
Now, it's monetization that we're talking about here, something that people have been waiting for. Do you have any projections in terms of revenue? Because I believe before you've gotten your revenue from minor streams like Google Ads and all of that. What are your projections?
I think that would be a really good question in the next year, because now we've only ran about 6-7 weeks. So I think by the time we're running 6 months, we'll have a very clear idea of how things will look like. But for now, good point to take home is that we see 5% week-on-week increase of the revenue.
Okay, you're operating at very interesting times in Kenya's e-commerce space. We're looking at the convergence between banks and payment services and mobile. When all these things come together the way they are, what kind of business environment do they present for you?
One is fintech. So the whole lending that happens on platforms is quite interesting, looking at people who want, for example, purchase mobile phones and need a loan. People who want to purchase cars and need a loan, which if you look at the institutions that exist traditionally, they might be a little bit more slower in implementing something that can happen quickly for somebody who wants a mobile phone to get lent money and purchase it on our platform. But for newer, more agile and very tech-centric lenders, then you find that they can do that very, very quickly. We are actually now starting to have some negotiations with some potential partners who can help lend people who are buying phones or other consumer items on our platform.
Finally, for this year, 2016, we've seen you come out very strongly with an agriculture segment, and you've been very excited about it. Talk to us about, briefly, that performance of that segment and what really we should be looking forward to in 2017.
Yeah, agriculture is almost something that came to us through serendipity. If you look at our platform, it was the least expected category 4 years ago. But when you look at our economy, and actually probably the whole of Sub-Saharan Africa economies, you find that agriculture is such a huge driver of the economies. So we have been able to come up with some partnerships that enable an online to offline type of transactions, where we have some collection centers for farmers who want to purchase imports. And all they do is to dial 887 hash, which is kind of a USSD driven instead of an internet driven platform. And that is so because of the internet penetration in those rural areas. And we have adapted our platform to those realities.